They said I couldn't do it, but I can. Yes, I can. New requests are coming in to be my friend. Friend. Build a brand.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Build a Brand Interviews. My name is Cameron Moore. I'm your host. And if this is your first time to Build a Brand Interviews, we want to welcome you and also explain a little bit about what we do here. What we do is we interview sales professionals in the automotive industry and what they're doing to build their business, to build their brand. How do they prospect? How do they follow up? And how do they get referrals? So again, if it's your first time, welcome to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we want to welcome you. If you're listening to this on Amazon Alexa, thank you so much for listening. And if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. So today we have someone that has been in the industry for some time now. He's been with the Honda brand for 10 years. He's working now at a location where he has access to 15 different brands, which is important because yesterday we are actually on another podcast talking about how someone wants to buy a Ford from him, and he's actually at a Honda location. So we'll get into that. And also, as I was looking through some of his stuff, I found that, he builds kind of the fundamental of his business, that when you're working with him, you're going to experience, the automotive sales with honesty, integrity, and also with respect. So I'm very excited that we have Mike Columbus on with us today. So Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself to people and tell everyone who you are.
Hi, Cameron. Thanks for having me on today. So been in the automotive industry since the early 80s and worked at a Cadillac dealership and then a Lexus dealership. Went through the ranks of finance and sales manager. In the late 90s, though, went into healthcare and spent a few years in healthcare. But in 2010, wanted to get back into the business that I loved and wanted to see how the internet had changed things, and it changed things dramatically. So I dove into the impact of the internet, Facebook, Google, other platforms that were available at the time, studied them, learned them, got back in the car business, and decided to spend the rest of my career in automotive in sales and not move up into management.
Man, that's awesome. A
So,
lot of people, once they get into the management role, they want to stay in it and then kind of progress from there. Now, tell us, I'm just curious, what made you not want to continue on in management?
one is I think I have a pretty good handle on what I do in sales. I know the job. I think I'm pretty good at it. Not that I wouldn't be good at management, but at this stage in my life, I'm having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing and just want to continue on. I'm making a very good income at this level. So
That's excellent. Yeah, they always
a lot
say,
less stress and a lot more fun.
yeah, it's kind of what I was going to get. They always say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Right. And
Right.
so I can imagine, because when you do get in that management position, you have a lot more responsibility. In some cases, you do see salespeople that do possibly make more because they're selling a lot. So that's awesome. And, thank you so much for sharing, a little bit about who you are. So now we're going to get to the very first question that we do on here. We talk about, not do, we talk about is, what do you do to prospect? How do you get your name out there? What do you do that's going to differentiate you from all the other salespeople out there?
One is a strong internet presence, and build a brand certainly has helped me in that regard. I knew going into this that I need a very polished professional look. My tagline is automotive sales with honesty, integrity, and respect. And that was the essence of what my website needed to look like. And certainly Build a Brand has helped me to build that image, especially having moved across country. So 3 years ago in May, I moved from Syracuse, New York to Seattle, Washington, where essentially I knew no one other than my brother-in-law and in-laws who were out here. So I needed to build a base out here in Seattle quickly and efficiently, and Build a Brand is one of the tools that I use to do that.
Man, I appreciate that plug. And it's, I tell people all the time, like, this, when we do the Build a Brand interviews, it's mainly about you, right? And I appreciate the fact that you do see value in our system. So just if you are watching this, I'm not trying to throw our system at you because this is truly about what they use. And the fact that he used our system is very exciting because, he's doing great things. And so with that, when you get to the prospecting, what are, like, you use social media. Can you give us an example of something that you do that no one else does, that, helps you stand out?
Well, I don't know whether it's unique and no one else is doing it, but I have kind of a different philosophy of when it comes to, let's say, Facebook and Facebook ads. What I'm trying to portray is basically what I feel is my image, and that is automotive sales with honesty, integrity, and respect. So um, I might just put up a picture of someone looking for a vehicle, for example, and then it'll have my website. That seems to be the image and the way that I want to go about my marketing. So it's been fruitful in that I've had customers who come into the store and just ask for my Columbus. They don't know me, but they've seen some of my posts on Facebook, and they will just come in when they're looking for a car, because I've been able to convey that mental image to them, unlike just posting cars on Marketplace. So my advertising goal is that people know me as a car guy, but it's not car after car after car after car after car that they're just blowing through my post. I'd rather post something engaging that gets them to stop for a brief second, and my website is there for them to see. I think it's pretty easy to remember, MikeColumbus.com. And
Nope, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
So that's been my strategy, and I think it's been pretty effective.
No, I like that. It sounds like you're really trying to build the relationships, try to provide value in your content, not just posting to post or spam, saying sell, 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 cars for sale. You're actually putting some thought behind, whatever I'm about to post. How can this bring value to my clients or potential prospects? And, that's pretty awesome, because a lot of people don't really think about, how does this bring value to my customer? Mostly it's like, they want this, all right? And the biggest thing you see across the board in automotive sales when people are publishing on Facebook, especially when they first start, and it's not the fact that, I don't think they're doing it wrong. I don't think anyone's shown them differently. So, here's a great example. And if it's your first time listening, maybe you're trying to figure out if you should post online, when you're posting, don't just spam it with saying the customer wants to know about sales, because the reality is cars are always on sale. They know that. We know that. Most customers will even say, oh, I'm going to wait till the end of the month to buy, because I know that's when they're going to sell some, give me a huge sale. So what you want to do is start building value in the content on something that may help them, such as, how certain features work in a car, maybe the difference between leasing and financing, because that's things that customers are actually searching for. Would you agree, disagree, or do you want to add on to that?
No, I agree. And so what I'm advertising is the experience that you'll have if you buy a car from me. Not just price, but the experience that's going to happen. And I think that's more important to the customer than it is than a price is.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because I literally just watched a live video from Jonathan Dawson, and he's talking about Chick-fil-A, right? And so I love Chick-fil-A. I always refer to it as God's chicken, right? My son calls it Chick, and that's just, it is what it is. But it's showing a line. They have 3 lines, and you can go watch this video. He just posted it today. But 3 lines. And in that, he's talking about how you can build an experience, that can basically set you apart from everyone else, how it'll make customers want to work with you, want to wait in line, due to the fact that your experience, it's consistent, and it's, it has a lot of value to them. So I'm glad you said that, because that's very, very true. Now, as far as getting into the prospecting, you mentioned Facebook. And so this is something we kind of talked about yesterday on our other podcast. But you brought up a question yesterday that I don't think I got a chance to answer. And it was kind of like, when it comes to Facebook friends, what was the question you asked me again? I want to make sure I got it right.
Well, the number of friends that you should have, and who should your friends be?
Yes. And I'm so glad you asked that question, because a lot of people do start adding. I'm sure you've done this. I've done it. Just add a bunch of automotive salespeople, right? And then what you find out is when you're publishing stuff, you're basically publishing cars for sale or educational information to someone else that sells cars, and they're not going to buy from you. And so I don't know. I guess I can't give a percentage or an accurate amount of how many friends you should actually have. Obviously, the cap is 5,000, but I don't think it should consist mainly of automotive salespeople. That's why you have groups like, the Psychology, 30 car sales a month, millionaire car sales. You have those groups so you can go and interact with them there. Right. And so I think, when you bring up that question, it does help a lot of people because some people don't think of that. And what would you say, in your opinion, on as far as the friends? How do you see that?
Well, I knew my end game. So I also knew where I wanted to go with my sales career. So um, I also have planned to do coaching and training, et cetera, in automotive. January 1st, I launched a new website, mycolumbus.net, in which I am doing coaching and training.
That's
So it
awesome.
was my goal to have automotive guys in my circle of friends because I knew at some point I would probably be advertising to them down the road.
So that was your market. Nice.
That was going to be my market.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew, and I planned this all out very strategically. I also engaged with the movers and the shakers in the industry. So I was looking for best practice. So when it came to vendors, I friended them. I was following them, seeing what they were doing. That's how I came to know you, honestly. I've also followed who I thought was best practice in the industry. So the Sean Hayes and others who I was just looking to see what their techniques were, studied what they were doing, and tried to implement what they were doing. So I had a very narrow view of who I wanted to have as friends, but I do have a lot of friends.
Yeah. I mean, that's great that you found your target market, right? And that's a lot of things. Like when people are, let's take an example of maybe we're going to sell a Honda Accord, right? Just I'm using that because Honda. And in that, if I'm taking a car like that and I'm trying to sell it to someone that likes trucks, lifted trucks, and going through mud, that's the wrong person all day.
Mhm.
And so, like, why blast them with nonsense that they're not even going to like when I can say, okay, this Honda Accord's great for someone that maybe is looking for better MPG, maybe looking to downsize. And I mean, I love the Honda Accords. The new Honda Accords, when they came out, was it 16 or 17, the new body style?
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks great. And so you have to find the right person that you want to market to. Like you said, be very strategic at it, because the end result is you're going to get, high valued customers, where if you are doing some, ads, it's going to cost you less because you have the right target market. So that's
Right.
awesome.
So just to go back to the friends list, I have started deleting friends who are of no value with what I was seeing as friends of value, which were more of my local market. So having moved here to Seattle, moving to the Bremerton area, I started replacing the car friends with real estate agents, with bankers, with lenders, and those types of friends who I knew were influencers in my community more than influencers in automotive.
That's awesome. And so if you guys are all listening to this on Amazon or watching this and you're like, that's why Mike and I aren't friends anymore, just know it's no hard feelings. Mike's just trying to do what's best for his business, and maybe he can create another page soon. So, hey, that's really great stuff. So if you're, just joining in, what we just went over is a little bit of prospecting, things you could do, some best practices. Now let's get to, how do you follow up with your customers? This is something that I think is very critical and huge in any industry, but especially automotive, because I feel like the transaction between the customer and the salesperson is a lot faster than, say, like buying a house. But the biggest thing that I see is the lack of following up from salespeople, and they wait till the CRM tells them to call them or email them. So what do you do to follow up with your customers? How do you follow up and really stand out from all the other salespeople around you?
Good question. And I think I'm one of the leaders in my Autoplex. We have about 100 different salespeople in our Autoplex. And I'm known as one of the masters of follow-up. And I don't use my CRM. I have to tell you, if my sales manager looked at my CRM follow-up, it would probably show very little. That doesn't mean I don't follow up, however. So I do keep a spreadsheet. Everyone who gets sold today gets a phone call tomorrow. That's one must follow up. everyone that I see as a customer today gets a phone call tonight to say thank you for stopping in. Not a sales pitch, not a what if we can do this. It's just to say thank you for stopping in and seeing me today. I hope you had a great experience. So first follow-up, then the next day. I always send brownies to my customers. I'm a big proponent of send-out cards. I use send-out cards extensively in follow-up. So going back to the customer that visits me, they'll also get a card the next day that says, thank you for stopping in. If you ever need anything on the hill is where our Autoplex is, West Hills Honda.
Is it on the hill?
Yeah, it's actually on a literal hill.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So all the dealerships are on the hill, which is West Hills section of Bremerton. And so I just put it out there that if you need anything, I'm your guy. I also try to engage at least 2 or 3 service customers who I call the coffee clutchers. Just people who are walking around the showroom. I engage them, again, not to sell them a car, but to just let them know if they ever need anything, I'm their guy to see. Customers the next day will get a brownie with a picture of their car. Not with me in it, but just of them, because it's their moment, it's their experience. So I try to make the experience not about me, but about them. And so then they get that. It comes in about a week. I try to plan it just from a marketing and personal perspective about the time they're going to get a survey from the manufacturer. So they'll get a box of brownies, and then shortly thereafter, they'll probably get a survey. And then my 3-day call is just simply, if you're not having a 10 experience or perfect experience, please let me know what we need to do now to make it a perfect 10. So 3-day call is important. Then a 1-month call, 3-month call, and then a 6-month call.
Man, that is awesome. Now, just a quick question. Do you do any of those or videos, or those actual phone calls?
They're actual phone calls.
Okay. And I want to say that I think that's awesome. A lot of times I preach and I'm all about video. That's just been my thing. It's, what I'm comfortable with. And you're calling, and that's something that some people still have fear about, is calling, because what if they get a voicemail? What do they say? Right? What if, what is it if the customer answers? Do they even know what they're going to say? But I think going into every single call and every single interaction with your customer, I think you have the right mindset. And it's really about just building an experience, making sure it's customer focused, and not really about the transaction of selling a car. Now, the end result, of course, is you do want to help them find the right vehicle, but that's not your purpose for that engagement. So I think that's very critical for you guys to really pay attention to on what Mike's doing here, is, really focusing on the engagement with the customer and making it strictly about them.
Yeah. So it's all about the relationship and creating a relationship. And if I could just say regarding what you brought up in the video and the phone call, don't worry about what you're going to say. Just do it. Just call and say thank you, and just leave it at that. You don't have to go into a long dissertation about how it went that day. Just call and say thanks for stopping in. We want you to know we appreciate that.
Isn't it weird? It's like something so simple seems a little too hard, right? For example, I was trying to close a deal one time, and my manager, I walked in his office. I was like, man, I just don't know what to do. I can't get them to, come to choose a payment. And I was still, green pea. And he's like, did you just ask them for their business? I go, oh, whoa, why would I do that?
Right.
Seems too easy. And it worked. And so it's like sometimes the easiest answer that seems, so like just out of this world, like it wouldn't work, it actually does. And like you just said, just call and say thank you. And that's big, because a lot of people don't do that. It's almost like the salesperson at whatever company, it doesn't have to be just automotive, almost expects like it's, the customer has to come to me, which they don't. They really don't. So that's awesome, man. That's a lot of good follow-up techniques that you have. And it's almost like you've structured out almost like a year of how you're going to follow up with these people, and every single person, is in a certain day. So if you guys want to go back, when we started talking about following up, just go back and check out what Mike says that he does to follow up with his customers to really stand out. Now let's get to the last part, which I know is just crucial in any business. And especially when I hear how you did it, going from, living somewhere else, going to somewhere where you literally knew no one, but your in-laws and your brother-in-law. Was it your brother-in-law or brother?
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law. And so how you basically went to this new place, and how did you start building? First off, I want to know, and I'm sure the listeners want to know, when do you ask for referrals? Secondly, how do you ask for the referrals? And then, what do you do to follow up with the referrals, or maybe follow up with the customer to, again, ask for the referrals? And just curious on how you did that to build what you have today, where you're currently at.
Okay, thank you. So again, all of my moves were very strategic. So when I decided to move here to Seattle, I had already built a strong online presence. And so I had numerous friends throughout the country who knew me. When I decided to move, first contacted my Honda district manager and told him I had planned to move out here. And he notified probably 6 or 8 dealerships here who they thought would be a good fit for me. So I already had an introduction when I came out. So I was more or less interviewing dealerships that I could see would be a good fit for me, because not everyone is a good fit. But I also knew it had to be the right fit, because I couldn't jump from dealership to dealership to dealership till I found the right one. It had to be the right one right out of the gate. And so then I just began networking in the community where I was at. I've also analyzed best practice when it comes to multi-level companies. And I believe multi-level companies, multi-level marketing companies have a lot to offer when it comes to how to build relationships quickly. So just started doing the networking, the after hours socials, and I joined a BNI network, became very active in the network, became very active in the local chamber, just meeting people, getting referrals from people, and just building the base from the ground up.
So it sounds like you got involved with local organizations. You actually went out and pursued these relationships. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I know people are like, yeah, Cameron, duh, that's exactly what you just said. I know. And so I'm repeating that because a lot of people do come into this business thinking it's going to be easy. Like I did when I first started, I was like, oh, selling cars can be easy. Then realizing that no one comes on the lot, so you have to go out. You have to actually build these relationships and really try to get involved. And if you're someone that's an introvert, and, I think you should try stepping out a little bit. I'm not forcing you, but try to step out a little bit and maybe go out to a local business and start, getting to know them and what they do. Because doing that B2B networking is going to help you really increase your opportunities. So do you have a particular way of asking for referrals?
I just find out what their needs are. Everyone must know someone who's looking for a car or a vehicle. And I ask them, have they seen my website? Do they know who I am? If you know someone who's looking, we pay referral fees for that. And so that's how I've been building my business.
Excellent. Now, the one thing I'm sure this customer that we talked about yesterday, and I'm sure you asked them for referrals, but I'm sure you've been following up with them, and that's why they reach out. I want you to tell everyone, and for you guys listening, if you're on Amazon, again, thanks so much for listening. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to, watch him while he tells his story. But he literally had someone that purchased a Honda from him, right? And then that person, then sees the Ford Bronco come out. Now, tell this story, because I think it's pretty awesome, especially if someone going from a Honda to a Ford, which you don't very seem, they cross those brands very often.
Right. So Ford is one of our franchise stores that we have. And the policy on the Hill, just so that you know, is when you get to the level where you're selling 200 plus cars a year, you can sell at any of the franchise stores. So with the 100 salespeople that we have, probably less than 10% are able to sell at all the stores. I was able to achieve that goal in my second year of 200 cars. So now I can sell at the Ford store. So the email came in, Mike, I had a great experience with you when I bought my Accord. I don't know if you can sell the Ford Bronco to me or not, but I just put an online request and deposit down for one forthcoming. I hope you can be the guy that sells it to me.
Man.
And that speaks back to what I try to create with the customer is it's not about price, it's about the experience. And by creating a remarkable experience with a customer, they're going to come back and they're going to refer you to their friends and they're going to refer you to their family, and your business, your book of business or your funnel will just keep growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, you create that loyalty, and I think it's pretty powerful for someone to, I mean, I have 100 salespeople, and knowing that you're at the Honda store, reached out to you and said, hey, I submitted this, and I really hope you can help me. Like, that speaks volumes. And the fact that, you know, you do create an amazing experience, and an amazing experience that literally, and I'm sure you have an amazing staff and a bunch of salespeople at your different locations, but they want to work with you. They reached out to you. And so I commend you for that, because that's something that you don't really see very often. And you're a great example of that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I just got another email this morning. Actually, this was through my Builder brand site, which I wanted to bring up. And I know you don't want me to push the Builder brand.
No, you can. I don't like to be the person that's like, hey, make sure you tell them about us, you know?
Okay. And this just came in this morning. So it's a customer yesterday, drove them around the hill, looked at numerous sport utility vehicles. And here was the email or text this morning. It says, my husband, John, and I met with you yesterday, went on the grand tour of the West Hills AutoPlex. We really like the CRV. Thank you. Can you get me one of those? Let us know.
That's awesome.
But what struck me was she must have gone online and researched Mike Columbus, because I didn't give her my digital business card. So that tells me she looked me up, and then she went through the Builder brand site. So I have to say there's a tremendous value in that website. And then to be able to get this immediately this morning after a visit yesterday is a pretty strong testimony to the value of your online presence.
Absolutely. And I think you do an extremely well job at really creating that online presence, because again, like, you know, any tools, it doesn't matter if it's our product or someone else's product, they're just tools, but it's up to the person to actually utilize them, the person to actually build that makes it great. So I tell people all the time, and it's not something cliche, but realistically, like, our clients are the most important people, because they're the ones doing, you know, the brain and like the really building their business, and they're utilizing us to really display that. So I appreciate you. And definitely I'm excited for you, because it sounds like you got a lot of good things cooking, where you're going to have some sales to, you know, look forward to make you, hopefully take you over that edge. How many cars do you think you're going to sell this year?
Oh, I'll be up to about 220.
220. Man, I hope you crush it. That's awesome. So if you guys are looking to, you know, find out more about Mike, maybe see what Mike does, you know, you can definitely go follow him on Facebook, and his Facebook link is going to be in the description below. And if you're on Amazon listening, just go to facebook.com/mike.columbus1. And you can always check out his website, which is mikecolumbus.com. Now, Mike, do you have any, I guess, words of wisdom and advice for people as we jump off this?
Yeah. So my philosophy has always been staying on top of mind. In the early 80s, I read Joe Girard's book, How to Sell Anything to Anybody. And what struck me in that was that he was going to generate his own business. And he made that promise to his dealer principal. And that's basically been my philosophy at every dealership I've been at, is that I will generate my own business. I won't depend on the store for the ups coming in the door. And if you focus on what can you do to stay on top of mind of people, making sure that they're thinking of you when it's time for a car, that will be the key to your success.
Man, I feel like you just threw up two main points that I love talking about. We could go on for hours, because I love what you just said. So I'm not going to continue talking, because I do a lot of that. But just recap what Mike just said. Basically, creating top of mind awareness and making sure that you're in the forefront of the customer's mind at all time. And so again, Mike, we want to thank you for joining us today. And to all of our viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Amazon Alexa, thank you. And again, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications if you want to see our next video that we have coming out shortly. Again, thanks again, and we will catch you next time.
They said I couldn't do it, but I can. Yes, I can. New requests are coming in to be my friend. Build a brand.